I got a question for you. That's right, America. Everybody out there, I have a question. This is Tom Trento on TrentoVision.tv. That's the video side of our programming for you. If you're listening on the radio, WNN 1470 on this beautiful May 2nd, the 2nd of May, just a couple of minutes after 5 p.m. on the East Coast. Hello, everybody on the West Coast, a little bit after 2 o'clock. I have a question for everybody in America, particularly those of you who have been following our series this past week on Boston, Massachusetts, the Boston Marathon bombing, the Boston Massacre. Our series, our four-part series, today's part 3 of 4, is entitled, It's Islam Stupid. We've been laying out a lot of material that's somewhat controversial and somewhat difficult to assimilate. We agree. We're just the messengers of information. That's why, America, I have a question for you. Question's very simple. If I put out before you the word Nazi, N-A-Z-I, Nazi, what is your initial visceral reaction to just the term Nazi?
I get scared.
You get scared, okay. If we talk about the ideology of Nazism, if we talk about the political components of Nazism, if we talk about the religious fervor of the Nazi, now you start to see a picture of something that at this point in history the world concludes was evil, diabolical, disastrous, and needed to be destroyed. But the question for all America is this: upon what factual information do you have the right to conclude that somebody's belief system, don't forget 50, 60 million Germans plus tens of millions of others worldwide, thought that this movement, at the early part of the 20th century, this movement would indeed bring in a 1,000-year reign of Nietzsche's Superman race. Many people believed that Nazism, the Nationalist Socialist Party of Germany, the nickname, the Nazis, were in fact above and beyond, both intellectually, physically, psychologically, all other humans on the earth. At one point, this was not a despised concept. This was actually a very appealing concept and was sold that way, and many millions of people bought into it. But my question for America, and this is a trick question, America, my question for America is, upon what criteria, upon what evaluation of what evidence do you conclude that Nazism is evil or bad or diabolical or must be done away with? What is your factual evidence that you employ, you identify, you believe, that drives you to the conclusion it's bad? We're going to talk about that in this hour for sure. We're going to have the guys here, and maybe some of you chatting in can weigh in. Because, as I said, it's a trick question.
Well, just to highlight your point there, Tom, about the Nazism before.
What are you doing back there? What is going on? Let me see. What are you?
I'm in my black hole.
Are you an apparition?
I'm a ghost. I'm becoming embodied.
Mark's in an apparition phase here. Look at him. That's pretty cool.
Very scary.
That is scary.
I'm a scary man now. I'm a very scary man now.
Oh, there you go. Look at that.
The point that you were making, though, about Nazism before, actually, you are correct in your assumption, because there was a wide global support for Nazism back before World War II. In fact, We had the famous aviator Lindbergh,
Charles Lindbergh, yeah.
ardent supporter of Nazism. You have Henry Ford.
Yep.
Put out the pamphlets, the protocols of Zion,
Of the Elders of Zion.
protocols of
Yeah.
the Elders of Zion. Printed out 400,000 copies of it.
Here in the U.S. Yep.
You had many the Kennedys.
Yep.
You go back to them; they were ardent supporters of appeasement of the whole system that's happening over there, and there was no governor on who was to tell what Nazism was all about. In fact, before World War II, there was actually a majority of support for the German people what was happening over in Nazi Germany that they're recovering out of their state.
Yep. No, and we are quick to be Monday morning quarterbacks looking back at a 20, 30, 40-year episode in Western civilization and say, oh my God, how can the people have put up with that stuff? Oh, you got to be kidding me. They're killing it. It's very easy as a Monday morning quarterback. Now, uniquely, Adolf Hitler and his cronies accelerated their worldview and their political plan, unlike the Muslim Brotherhood, who has the patience to wait out the implementation of their plan. And when you put these plans, the Muslim Brotherhood's plan and Adolf Hitler's plan, side by side, guess what? They're virtually exactly alike. And guess who worked together in World War II?
The Grand Mufti of Jerusalem.
Over here and Adolf Hitler over here. The Brotherhood over here and Adolf Hitler over here.
Yeah, the Mufti was actually known as the Arab Fuhrer.
Yep. So the point that we're making today in our third part of It's Islam Stupid. Do we have the new branding logo for our title of our show, It's Islam Stupid? If we can put that up on the screen. Oh my word, somebody was working late into the evening last night. Who did that?
Some ghosty.
The man with the big brain.
Ghosty Mark did that. That is pretty good. You want to explain it there, Imam Abdullah? It's about you guys.
Yeah.
Well, you have It's Islam Stupid. You have the ISNA.
Let's put it back up. So
We have Islamic Society of North America, which is a Muslim Brotherhood-tied group.
Okay.
We have CARE, the Council for American Islamic Relations, which is another Muslim Brotherhood group.
Okay.
Thank you, Holy Land Foundation Trial. And
We had the Jihad Mom.
and we have the Bomb Mom. Oh, pretty woman.
We have three images there that Mark put together. ISNA, Islamic Society of North America, which is the overarching organizing entity for all the Muslim Brotherhood affiliates in America. And on top of it, it says it's part of the three words, It's Islam Stupid. Under ISNA, we have, what's it say, convert? What does that mean, Imam Abdullah?
Meaning to go from your stinking third-class religion, such as Christianity or Judaism or Hinduism, to the supreme religion and the only religion, Islam.
Oh, that's something like what exactly Adolf Hitler believed.
Right.
Also, that
Hitler was
indeed-
not Muslim,
no.
but we work well together.
You did work well together. And then under care, you have convert, submit, or die. Help me out
that
with
is like yesterday. We say, I chop your head off,
Okay.
you convert to Islam, or you
Okay.
pay the jizya, which would be the submit here, which would mean you live as third-class citizen and you pay me your monies, and I let you live as I spit on you.
Okay. You
Now,
spit on-
these aren't.
or what? What's my other
I
option?
chop your head off.
Oh.
That is,
Now,
again.
This is fun. This
Yeah,
is-
these aren't Tom Trento's words.
I
These
didn't-
aren't
I didn't-
our
These
words.
are not my words. These are Muhammad's words.
Well, here's whose words they are. If we can come to my graphics now. Maybe Mark got fancy-dancy with his graphics, but
You outshine me, Tom.
There
You
we
do,
go.
I can
Oh,
see.
again,
There we go.
photographic quality.
okay. Here, let's go to this camera. If you can zoom in on this camera, because the words that Mark used to make that new logo, which is our branding logo, It's Islam Stupid. If you can zoom in a little bit, simply come from this diagram here. We have the the crescent moon and the star, which are the symbols now of Islam. And then we established...
Moon god.
Yeah, well, yeah. And we established... That's good right there. We established the other day that that there are three primary doctrinal depositories of information from which the essence of Islam is developed and then taught, implemented. And in the center, you got the Quran. You got the, which means recitation, basically, that it's been recited. And you have the Hadith and the Sunnah, the two depositories of writings that deal with the Prophet Muhammad's life. So looking at these three depositories of written material, the scholars develop a system called Islam. And Islam brings us back to our new logo. Go back to our new logo. Our logo for this 4-part series. And somebody at some point is going to have to decline the call because I don't know where we are in the show. Okay? And there we have on the screen again, we have our new branding logo for this particular series, Part 3, Part 4. Part 3 today, Part 4 tomorrow. It's Islam Stupid, Convert, Submit, or Die, Isna, Care, and the Bomb Lady who exemplifies, the Bomb Mom, who exemplifies the jihadi component of Muslims, but in particular, as as Mark has explained many times on the show, the jihadi component of females within Islam. And that subject is bizarre to say the least, and necessitates its own elucidation, its own show or two down the road.
Well, I got a trivia question for you,
Sure.
Tom. Pull up that graphic up there once again, that too.
Wait, let me try this. It's 5:12 and 3 seconds and 7/10 of a second right now in the afternoon on Thursday, and we have that much time. We got new stuff in here. Show me somewhere.
Okay.
Wait, hang on. I've got to tell our friends, all the people that watch us, and we are becoming so slick in here. You notice the audio is perfecto, the video's great, the kind of all the stuff we have. I mean, we're really getting. No thanks to I guess thanks to the donors, but we need more donors, okay? Because we're like a little upside down on the donor versus the expense side of the ledger, so we can use your help with donations.
Please send money.
Yes, but
Fighting jihad is not cheap.
our team of about 5 or 6 people now put up all this stuff that makes it very easy. I know what time it is down to the thousandth of a second because we're so precise here, and I know exactly how much time is left in the show. And I know when the steaks are going to be finished cooking over there. So I got everything covered. Yes, what were you going to say, Mark?
I have a trivia question for you and the group. Is out of the 3 images on Net 2 on our logo, is
I see a ghost now. I don't see
Yes.
any images.
is we have the image of Isna, we have the image of Care, and we have the image of Jihad Mom.
Bomb Mom.
Bomb Mom.
Bomb Mom.
Out of all 3 of those people, only one of them is telling the truth. Which one is telling the truth?
Bomb Mom.
That's so hard. I don't know, Ali. I don't know what it is.
Well, and it's a good point to bring up because she's saying, yes, my son should die and I'll be happy with him, Allahu Akbar. Hey, that's exact like you're talking about the women.
Do you have that video that we can pull that up? Bomb Mom? Is it floating on the computer somewhere?
I can find it in a minute.
Yeah, that'll illustrate that greatly. No, good point. Very good point. At 13 minutes past 5 o'clock on the second, number 2 day of May. May is a great month, and we thank you for that. Oh, is it your birthday in May? Is it really?
Yeah.
Which day?
11th.
You can talk. Is that 11? It's 11. Okay. The 11th of May. Anybody else have a birthday in May? Me! Oh, okay. Maybe.
Tom, remind not to fire him on the 11th, okay?
Okay, we do that.
Just call me Diamond D.
Diamond D, 11, 101. All right. Well, we're looking at Bomb Mom's little truthful statement regarding what the essence of Islam is. We want to thank everybody for watching the show, supporting the show. We finished our 5-part series last week, Southern Poverty Law Center, though I got a little follow-up for you in a second. And we are grooving. with Tea Party community. Somebody stepping on a wire someplace or something or other. We are grooving with Tea Party community and their new program. Let me pull that right up on my computer in a second. My computer went to sleep. And maybe you're asking, where is CJ? Where is CJ? Abdullah, did you kidnap CJ and take her to Afghanistan or
I
something?
had nothing to do with this. I heard she is having boat issues.
Boat issues, traveling issues. Okay. Yes, she's got some personal stuff attending to. And,
I must say, the less Jews, the better.
the less Jews, the better.
One is enough in this room.
She will, next week when she is back, she's taking this week off to attend to some stuff. She'll tell us about it, but I'm going to replay what you just said about her. Because she actually thought you were kind of like a nice guy, you know. So what is the story?
Well, that is what we do, is we fool the people. We fool the non-believers into thinking we are okay. And then when you least expect, we slit your throat.
You wouldn't do that. I mean, aren't there any nice Muslims out there? I have a lot of Muslim friends. They're very nice people.
Oh, sure you do.
Hundreds of them,
Oh,
thousands of them,
yes,
maybe.
keep believing that.
I do. Zudi. How about Zudi? Does he count?
Zudi is not Muslim.
No.
No offense, Dr. Jasser, but please.
I have found in my life, believe it or not, that I'm having a hard time. If somebody can try to get into a Tea Party community, I can't. It's not letting me sign in. I have found in my life that the Muslims that I am friendly with are the non-jihadi, non-Sharia compliant. Even though they defend Islam and we debate and all of that, there's a level of respect and appreciation for individuals as humans. And I trust that the people that I'm dealing with, and we disagree with many of them, I mean, voraciously, but I know they don't want to kill them. I have no interest in they don't want to kill us. I have no interest in killing them. But they are not really any part of the solution of the problem. They become irrelevant. They simply become irrelevant in terms of the issues of Islam in America. But, you know, it can be very friendly, obviously. That's not an issue. You were finding that. But let me take you on a little ride right now. Tea Party community has this program going on. If you can come to my screen, Hands Off Our Guns. It ends 4 o'clock tomorrow, Friday, the 3rd of May. Go to teapartycommunity.com, and they're running this contest. They want you to send in pictures with your legally owned guns, and they're going to put them up on a website and have some fun with that. And then, from what I understand, somebody's donating a long gun, and they're going to present it to one of the anti-Second Amendment politicians in America in some sort of symbolic event. So Tim Saletti, Ken Crow, Jan Morgan, all the people at Tea Party community are just doing a bang-up job. Hello. Tell your friends to watch TrentoVision every day, 5 to 6. And Don Smith, good friend of ours who has a radio show, he's going to be on Tea Party community on Saturdays, 2 to 3, I think it is. So check that out, teapartycommunity.com. WNN 1470, we know that. Donations. Brian and Steve, 6 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock. I listen for most of the morning. I'm running around and then listening, and I mean, they were dealing with some cool stuff today and continually. So tune into those guys. But let me take you on a little trip around the globe for a second. If you can come here to my screen. A poll was just done in Gaza of the Palestinians, and only 40% of all Palestinians support suicide bombing. Not 100% like we thought. Only 40% of Palestinians support suicide bombing. This is a Jerusalem Post report, and it is amazing. Think about this for a second, folks. There's something like 2 million people there. So what is 40% of 2 million? 800,000? Over 500,000 Palestinians living right next to. We have been there. We have been at the gate at Sderot. We have been a day away from rockets coming in. Only about 500,000 of the Palestinians, actually more, almost 1 million, support suicide bombing for political ends. How in the world is Israel, and we haven't been dealing much with Israel, but there's phenomenally scary developments going on. We've been preoccupied, now that we only have 1 hour a day, on the television side, we've been preoccupied with a Boston bombing on our homeland. But 40%, 800,000 people living next to Jews in Israel believe that they can blow themselves up to advance their cause against the Jews in Israel, and they want to have peace with these people. How the hell is that supposed to happen? Or is everybody blind? The way you think determines how you live and act. If you want to change the way you live and act vis-a-vis being a suicide bomber or supporting it, you've got to change the way you think. To change the way you think means you have to stop believing what, everybody? Yes, they said it out there. Islam. The thought constructs that lead to suicide bombing being a acceptable modality of political action flows from the doctrines of Islam. Very simple. So when you see various problems worldwide, start recognizing and start looking at our little branding banner. It's Islam, stupid. Now, if we go to right here, now we were just in Gaza. Let's go to Canada. Take a look at my screen again. Canadian jihadists, disturbing video shows fanaticism of rebels who may have inspired the Boston bomber. Damon, you were looking into this quite a bit.
Yes.
What was your evaluation of this?
It's Islam, stupid.
Tie it together for us.
It is absolutely what these are. These are some Canadian jihadis with possible links to Tamerlan Sarnoff, the dead Boston bomber.
Tamerlan, the older one, 26-year-old Sarnoff. Go ahead.
Correct. And this is a Canadian jihadi that went to Dagestan, which is where the Sarnoffs, one of the countries over there.
Dagestan, which is a real country. I mean,
Yeah.
some folks yesterday were saying, hey, there's so many crazy little countries.
I am surprised Muslims would have a country named for dog.
Dagestan, that's right. But it's a real little country. There's only, in Chechnya, there's only like 1.5 million Chechens. There's not that many. But go ahead.
And this is one of the guys that supposedly he was picked up by Russian authorities because his father had called in concerned about his son's extremism. Now, you're talking about a Canadian.
Now, this is 8,000 miles away,
Yeah,
right?
this is a Canadian who didn't convert to Islam until 2009.
Hey, let's get the facts here. We have a Canadian young guy in his 20s.
Yeah, a former boxer like Tamerlan.
He converts to Islam.
Yeah, his name is Plotnikov, William Plotnikov. He went by Bill.
And
I mean,
goes
the guy
by
went
Bill.
by Bill.
Hey, Billy!
Hey, Bill. Jihad Bill.
And he and he goes, I'm going to, where am I going to go? I'm going to go to Dagestan. Why do you go to Dagestan?
With that last name, I'm assuming he's got some
He's got it
Russian,
somewhere,
okay.
okay.
It's probably, heritage, and then obviously. But just going a couple quotes off of here is, 5 Dagestan rebels spoke into a video camera about killing infidels and how the good deeds they were doing would absolve them of 700 sins committed during their lifetimes.
That is a very important point. Go ahead. I'll comment on that.
I mean, this is just straight up Islam is what this is. I mean, all they're doing is adhering to the tenets of Islam, which is killing non-believers.
Now, why is this story in the news in the National Post? What is the relevance of it?
It is the possible link to Tamerlan Sarnoff.
Okay. So it's possible, and the investigation is going on now, that the Canadian who went to Dagestan, who was a boxer, somehow met or got in touch with Tamerlan Sarnoff up there, and they did a little training. And now what eventually happened to the boxer?
He was killed by Russian security forces in a shootout. This is after, listen, his father had called the Russian security forces. They corralled him, took him in, questioned him, told him to hit the road. You know, you got to go. I went to Moscow for this. You know, and then he goes back to Dagestan to his jihadi brothers. They get into a crazy firefight with police, and he's cops. And then Tamerlan Tsarnaev leaves Dagestan 2 days later back.
Oh, he was
to the
there
States.
when
he
he
was
got
there when that
killed.
happened up until 2 days after.
Is that a pic of him right there to the right of Tamerlan right there? Is that his pic?
No, not Tamerlan. He's not.
No, that's
he's
not.
not pictured.
Oh
There-
yeah, that is Canadian jihadist Bill Plotnikov.
Yeah,
Plotnikov.
pull him up on camera 4. Yeah, blow it up.
Okay, let me just make it big.
Yeah, there are no pictures of Tamerlan with Wild Bill
Not with
yet. I'm
Correct.
sure they're out there yet because these guys took a lot of pictures, folks. What we're doing at 25 minutes past 5
Go and blow
o'clock.
it full screen.
25 minutes past 5 o'clock on WNN 1470, the radio side, coming out of Boca Raton, Florida. Tom Trento, your host here, TrentoVision. We miss CJ. She's not here right now, but we have everybody else on TrentoVision.tv. What we're doing, we're in part 3 of our 4-part series, It's Islam Stupid. And we're simply saying that the best way to understand why young guys who have the world in front of them, who live in a beautiful part of the world, who are smart, intelligent, all of this, why they decide to make a bomb and kill innocent people in the name of Allah, why they decide to do that. And we're saying that it's because of Islam. Islam is the cause of the effect jihadi bombers killing infidels.
Can I give you the money
And
quote?
we're laying out the evidence for that. Can
I give you the money quote out of this article?
Yeah, go ahead and put camera 4 up there, Dave.
What do you do? Plotnikov asked a rebel sitting on a bed beside his assault rifle. Terrorism. To kill non-believers. This is what I do. Allah gave me fuel, a bunker, a lot of brothers. I eat and think a lot. I think how to kill them. I make a plan how to kill more non-believers. When to kill them. Something is coming concrete for you for the sake of Allah.
Pretty clear to me.
Yeah, pretty clear. Well, here's the confusing part for our audience. And that's okay. It's okay to be confused. We will walk you through this. You go, well, that can't be Islam. That's an aberration. He's become self-radicalized.
Is it painful?
Nothing to do with Islam, nothing to do with anything with the Quran, nothing to do with Mohammed, nothing at all. It's just some weird, crazy sub-belief. Well, why do people say that? Why shouldn't they say, wow, how does that relate? What he just said, can that be related to any teaching in Islam? That should be the logical question.
Is there any doctrinal evidence for his logic, and is there any major mainstream support for his logic? Is there any powers that would support that? Is there any historical documentation that would support that? Is there any legal precedent that would support that? About 6 or 7 different layers. You should go.
Yes.
Yeah, but that's what the person should do,
Right.
who then has to conclude something based upon his statement, I kill infidels because Allah wants me to, right?
Well, now here's what also here it says. Well, the Bible says you should stone women. You should stone women, and you kill people for picking up wood on Sunday or stuff like that. And you're going, yeah, that's the reason you go through all the checklist of everything. You just don't stop at the religious aspect. You look if there's a legal precedent setting it, backing up. Is there a school of thought setting this up? Is there government support of that thought? Well, even though one thing may be true, the others do not follow when it comes to Christianity. In fact, it is the antithesis of that. Now, when you come back to Islam, okay, you leave Islam, you should be killed. That's in the religious,
Absolutely.
and that's in the religious part of
I
it.
kill you.
In the Quran, that's you. If apostate, you must be killed. All right. The legal precedent of that is okay. Is there a law to support that? Check. Yes. Is there a university support?
I don't want to know anymore. This is scaring me.
No,
That's what's happening. to
You
our-
Islamophobes.
What-
Trento.
I want to
Please.
I want to finish this point. Yes, Al Azhar University. Yes, mainstream support in the U.S. The Sikh Council North America, yes, they supported it. It's in their book. That book you got right there to the left of you, Tom.
I know.
You have historical support and milestones. You have it all this. I mean, if you put this in a court of law and you look at it, they're guilty as sin.
Islam's stupid.
It's Islam.
We know this, but our viewing and our listening audience is trying to psychologically navigate themselves through some very rough waters. We understand that because the knee-jerk reaction to hearing somebody speak like that is, he's insane, he's crazy. He wasn't insane, he wasn't crazy, he was following a particular doctrine. The kamikaze pilots, the followers of Shinto, the emperor and the military might of Imperial Japan, they were brilliant people. They were tremendously industrious. They were very intelligent. They had a particular worldview. They had a religious belief, a philosophical belief, a world domination, supremacist belief, and they were living it out. Now, the belief happened to be wrong, not in accord with what is true, and we had to fight a battle over that, but they weren't dumb people. They were following a belief system.
Not insane.
Not insane. And they were taught this from day one, and it was their time to conquer the world. Well, it's the same exact thing with Islam, though in this enlightened 21st century, in the West, we can't comprehend that people could still want world domination and world control when all we want to do is play video games and go to the movies.
This is
That's
not
the way
the
it
stuff
is.
we are taught in our interfaith dialogues. When we have our interfaith meetings every month, mind you, there is always an imam, and never once have I heard what you are saying, Trento.
That's true. That's true.
And it goes back to what the Charnos. I mean, you're making a very valid, salient point. Is you look at the Charnoff when he said, "Oh well, he is a normal person. He seemed really normal in class. He seemed like a nice guy. He seemed like he never spoke anything radical. He had a little bit off beliefs about 9/11 truthers, but other than that, he was a normal guy.
A nice guy.
Well, then that goes exactly what you're saying. They come across as nice people because they're not insane. They're following a doctrinal system of which says you must convert, submit, or die.
One of our Team B2 colleagues yesterday, 2 days ago, spoke in a northeastern elite little town in a very wealthy home with a Picasso on the wall, right, in this beautiful place with all of these highly educated, intelligent people. And our colleague laid out the threat doctrine of Islam. Our colleague is one of the authors of Sharia, The Threat to America. Laid out the threat doctrine. And this particular colleague has credentials. I don't want to say too much because then you may know who it is. But this particular...
Impeccable.
Impeccable credentials. And that just go, okay, that person knows what they're talking about. He laid out the threat doctrine, kind of what we're doing now. And... the general response from about 20, 30 people that were in this beautiful home being briefed on trying to find out what's going on in Boston. Why are they doing this? The general response was, whoa, that's scary stuff you just told us. I'm glad that no Muslim I know ever believes that, and I don't really even know if I don't even know if I really believe it because it's so out there. But it is scary. You did scare us. But, I don't know if we really can believe that. And the person wrote to me saying, you're not going to believe what intelligent people. There's just a disconnect when it comes to connecting the dots between Islamic jihad and Islam. Why you call it Islamic jihad? It comes from Islam.
Well, and here's the point. And I always wondered when I was growing up, Tom, how nobody saw the killing of Jews in Nazi Germany and the genocide. Why nobody talked about it. I mean, it was going on for years and years and years and years and years beforehand, and nobody said anything. You're just wondering why could people be so blind? Now I know why. Because they don't want to believe it. Because they don't want to believe that this is happening. There's a disconnect where I could never do that, and that's the problem. People are thinking from inside themselves and saying, I could never do that.
Right.
And
projection.
I can't,
you project onto someone else what you want, what you believe.
and you say, well, there's no way. If they just knew me, if they just knew how I felt, knew how I believed, then everything would be all right. Then they know. Then
Here's how that works. That's pretty simple. When you have a small country like Norway or Finland, 3 million people, Sweden 5 million, 7 million people, everybody, they've lived there for 5,000 years, and they're all just one race basically. You all think alike, and you're monolithic. You're monolithic in your belief system, and when you project like that, you're projecting the other person's belief system too. So you have harmony in cultures like that. When other people come in to your culture, if they buy into your basic presuppositions, your fundamental beliefs of your culture, then they will assume, adopt, and ingratiate into them the beliefs of everyone. And then when they project, they'll all be on the same page. When you come into a culture and say, no assimilation for me, domination for me, now you have what Samuel Huntington calls the clash of civilizations. And Islam, by definition, cannot assimilate. It has to dominate, and it dominates either through intellectual persuasion, which when it's put up against Jewish and Christian thinkers, it fails. So Mohammed said, well, if we fail intellectually, guess what?
Then I chop your intellect off your shoulders.
I chop your intellect off your shoulders.
Well, and here's the
or
other,
I blow up 8-year-old kids in Boston.
And here's the other point you've made numerous times to me. If you're not strong in your moral beliefs, in your foundational spirit of who you are and what is right or wrong, you're going to get steamrolled by these people, because one thing about the Islamic mindset, they are dedicated, they are strong, and they are passionate about their belief, and there is nothing that's going to stop them, and they know it. And they come into some person who's a weak Unitarian and they just get steamrolled because they have no foundational moral beliefs.
Don't be so hard on yourself.
And that's the success that the Muslim Brotherhood is having by bringing students over into the MSA, Muslim Student Association, and growing them through the academy, and then putting professionals in interfaith meetings, as you said earlier.
Yes.
Yes. And the Christians and the Jewish people that don't have a true Orthodox faith, the Jews that
we go to Reform Temple.
Yeah. Torah's okay.
And Mark, you go to Unitarian Temple. Have I not seen you at some of these interfaith gatherings?
Yes.
Have these Muslims ever threatened you?
Yes. After I record them.
And my tribe, the Christians, those who use the term Christian but don't even believe in Christ, don't even believe in God. I mean, it's amazing. They are prime meat, red meat for the Muslim influence operation officers and intelligence officers in these, and all of these imams are really trained to be intelligence officers.
Well, and I'd like to add on top of that also, you don't have to just go to religion to have a strong moral foundational belief. If you have a strong foundational moral belief in the Constitution as that should be the law of the land of the United States, and you say this, hey, you know what? This is it. And well, I'm just going to put religion aside for a minute. I'm just going to talk about the Constitution, what's right, what's wrong about the Constitution, and you come up against these jihadis,
That's xenophobia.
I mean,
well, the mixing pot that is the United States is the U.S. Constitution. I mean, that's what you have to agree to, and you're supposed to learn all this stuff. Now, historically, because of the Christian dominance here, we projected the same worldview. But as other cultures emigrated in and didn't want to have any part of anything, we have Mexicans now that are here illegally, millions of them, have no interest in the U.S. Constitution. The La Raza people want Texas and California to be brought back to them, and many of them are becoming citizens. They hate America. They fly the Mexican flag on their school campuses in certain places.
Cinco de Mayo in a few days, Tom.
Right.
What are you doing?
So, we got problems in the United States of America, but those of us who stand strong and say, hey, wait a minute, we're not giving up on this America thing so quickly. Well, what happens to us is what's on my screen, Dave. If you can come to my screen. Here's where we are now in our culture. We have the Pentagon. That's that six-sided building in Washington, Pentagon.
That's where they make war.
Six-sided building, Pentagon. Five-sided building. I was a little slow on the draw out there today.
Well,
the 20-sided building, the Pentagon. The Pentagon taps anti-Christian extremist for religious tolerance policy.
Anti-Christian extremists.
Wait a second. It was May 1st, not April 1st.
Pentagon taps anti-Christian extremists.
The Pentagon hired a guy who hates Christians to help develop a religious tolerance policy.
Oh, okay.
We're going to go through this tomorrow, but I just want to read the opening, what this individual said. And the individual's involved with, guess who? Southern Poverty Law Center.
Oh, what a surprise.
The individual said, today we face an incredibly well-funded gangs of fundamentalist Christian monsters, Tom Trento, who terrorize their fellow Americans by forcing their weaponized and twisted version of Christianity upon the helpless subordinates in our nation's armed forces. Okay, so the Army...
The SPLC did write this, I can tell already.
Oh, it's amazing.
You are animal, Trento.
We'll go through that, and then we're going to look tomorrow, another SPLC deal, big article in the American Spectator, liberal group cited in terrorism case. Now the Southern Poverty Law Center is being directly cited in the Floyd Lee Corkin shooting of Leo Johnson. This is a great article. We'll do that tomorrow. Right now we're going to Boston. Let's ship up to Boston, okay? All right. Where were we? Anybody know where we were? 41 minutes past 5 o'clock on Thursday, May 2, 2013. Anybody know where we are?
We're in Boca Raton, Florida.
Oh, yeah, we're in Boca. But we are about a third of the way into our first video. And the video is produced by Americans for Peace and Tolerance, Charles Jacobs and Ilya Festavav. I have a hard time pronouncing his Russian last name, Ilya. But they produced this great short video, and we are using it to help America understand why two individuals who seem to have the world in their reach decided to blow up people for the sake of God, their God, Allah. And our title, folks, is very simple. It's Islam Stupid. Let's pick up where we were in that video. And we'll just go through it and comment.
Make sure you have the audio out correct there, Dave.
Land in Roxbury valued at over $2 million for a fraction of its worth. Critics of the center warned that its leaders would use it to radicalize Boston's historically moderate Muslim community.
If this Islamic center is finished under its current leadership and with its current
2004,
ideology,
this is.
will it become, as so many mosques with similar associations have become elsewhere in the United States, a center for Islamic extremism in our own backyard? Will it become...
Never happen.
They please the non-Muslims by saying, oh, Islam is the religion of peace, and quote the verses, but do not mention what in their secret culture, they in their own communities, their own mosque, teach the hadith of I am commanded to fight all the people.
This is a moderate Muslim.
Despite
speaking.
the controversy regarding
Here's a
its radical
nitwit. Watch
leadership,
this guy.
Civic leaders gave the mosque their blessing.
Two nitwits.
To celebrate the opening of the
Governor
Islamic
Duval,
Cultural Center.
who wants to be the
The
president, by the
Islamic
way.
Center was
Buddy of
officially
Obama.
opened in 2009, and since then, several high-profile terrorism plots have been linked to its members and leaders. On July 15, 2009, Osama Ziadi, a supporter of the mosque and one of its big donors, was indicted for taking cash from Al-Qaeda's top fundraiser, Yassin Qadi. In October,
What was he doing with
two
that
young
cash?
Muslim men from Greater Boston were indicted in plots to murder shoppers in local malls.
This is in Boston.
One is the son of the Islamic Center's vice president, Abdul Badi Abu Samra. And in February, Afia Siddiqui, a friend of Imam Farouk and a member of his mosque, was convicted of trying to murder FBI agents in Afghanistan while shouting, "Death to America."
These are all people from
Siddiqui
Boston.
is
Yep.
informally
From the
known
center,
in
the Islamic Center.
counterterrorism community
Islamic
as
Society.
the Grey Lady of Al-Qaeda. Shortly after Afia's conviction, Imam Farouk delivered this sermon urging the congregation to support
This is
her.
the guy I ran into in Boston.
Yeah.
I brought some papers tonight that I'm going to ask if I could give
This is
out
Imam Farouk, bad dude.
regarding a woman who is presently suffering. This
You
woman
sound so sweet.
Afia
He's
Sadiq,
African American.
after
No, he's
they're
nasty.
finished
You'll
with
see.
Afia, they're going to come to your door if they feel like it. You know, this Patriot Act permits them to come anywhere they want at any time.
That's
The
not
very
true.
concerns raised by the center's critics are evident in Farouk's speech.
And why should you not struggle, fight if you have to, in the way of Allah, when those who are weak amongst you from amongst the and ill-treated and oppressed, it adds here, this is and oppressed, men and women and children whose cry is, our Lord, rescue us from this town whose people are oppressors. And if you help the cause of Allah, He will help you. So there's a word, shaja'a. What does shaja'a mean? It means bravery.
Martyr.
You know, and if anybody in
Watch
the
what he
world is to
says.
be brave, it must be us. You must grab onto this rope, grab onto the typewriter, grab onto the shovel, grab onto the gun and the sword. Don't be afraid.
The gun and
to
the
step
sword.
out into this world and do your job.
Is Imam
Can you
All right,
pause
freeze
it?
that for a
Pause,
second.
pause, pause,
cautionary
pause,
Muslims
pause,
to
pause.
respond violently?
It was really interesting how he interpreted. He says, well, you know, what does shahad mean? And shahad, oh, bravery. No, it doesn't mean bravery. It means martyr. It means you martyr yourself for God by blowing yourself up. Saeed Qutb. That's the reason he's called Saeed. You know, you give your life for God in the most violent and by death. You have to die.
And he's very smooth, Imam Farouk. He says it means bravery. So the people out there who look into it a little further, because you move people along to the fullness of Islam, you know, step
Right.
by step. They got to learn.
Milestones, right?
Yeah,
Right
You
there.
don't
Got a
take
book?
them in and on the first day say, hey, you're going to be wearing a suicide vest
Yeah,
next
yeah.
week.
Actually, you
get
have a book right there, Tom. What's it say?
Yeah, milestones right here.
That's
This
go
is
milestones. Every milestone you go past, and you get closer to jihad.
And so you call it bravery, and then they do a little study. They go, oh, this is martyrdom. So martyrdom is bravery. Oh, yeah. And then it's very, very interesting how he moves from you pick up your tool, whether it's a shovel or a typewriter, and then he goes to a sword and a gun. Play that over. And this was the very controversial part that got him into a lot of trouble. And eventually he was fired from Northeastern University as the main imam on that campus a couple of years after this. But play that back. Watch how he slips in the fact that it's legitimate to pick up a sword and a gun.
And oppressed. Men and women and children whose cry is, our Lord, rescue us from this town whose people are oppressors. And if you help the cause of Allah, He will help you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
72 virgins.
there's a word, shaja'a. What is shaja'a?
That's your word.
Yeah, shahid.
That means martyr, a shaheed.
You know, and if anybody in the world is to be brave, it must be us. You must grab onto this rope, grab onto the typewriter, grab onto the shovel, grab onto the gun and the sword.
Yeah, oh, you
Don't
see how
be
you threw that in there?
afraid.
Typewriter,
Step out
shovel,
into
gun
this
and the
world and do your
sword,
job.
and everybody in the
Is
audience.
Imam Farouk
freeze it
urging
for a
Boston
second.
area Muslims to respond?
Everybody in the audience identifies with what resonates with them. And you've got the men in there, they're not going to grab a typewriter or a shovel. They're going to grab a gun or a sword.
Well, actually,
I
Care-
would throw a typewriter at your head, Trento.
Actually, Care and Isna do all the whole typewriter stuff to encourage people to grab the gun and the sword.
Pressure cooker.
And the pressure
And a
cooker.
pressure cooker, yeah, you should have put that in. But now, who are we watching? Who are you listening to? If you're driving in your car 48 minutes past 5 o'clock, you're listening to Imam Abdullah Farouk, a African-American who converted to Islam, is a Sunni Muslim, and the leader, the spiritual leader of the Islamic Society of Boston. And it is the Islamic Society of Boston that controls 2 mosques. It's Saudi-owned. The Islamic Society of Boston controls 2 mosques. The one on the campus of Cambridge, where the brothers went, and the one in Roxbury. Roxbury is the Harlem of Boston. It's a black, rundown, very tough neighborhood, very, very difficult, depressed area.
Perfect place for a mosque.
And yeah, when I was there protesting it in June of 2009, all of us were saying, what the heck is this? They're building a mosque in the hood. And it ain't like, a little ramshackle building. It's a $16 million, 50,000 square foot state-of-the-art building. We'll show it to you a little later on. And I did a 4-part video series, and I said, this is a recruiting ground. This Islamic Society of Boston is a recruiting base and a forward operating base to recruit a fifth column of black Muslims to be the shock troops when the race wars begin and Islam uses blacks as they use slaves now to do their dirty deeds in the United States of America. This is where it's going.
The
We predicted, Mark. We predicted this 4 years ago.
No, yeah, and I want to really emphasize that point. You predicted the fall of Egypt 6 months in advance. You said they would, and also the Muslim Brotherhood would take over. I mean, everything we've been saying for the last years has come true. It might not be, immediately. It's
Pretty good, though.
Nostradamus over there.
No, it really
The
is.
Powerball for tonight is, or for yesterday.
Listen, the Islamic Center of South Florida being built in Pompano Beach.
Yes.
Okay, I mean, one
Big
of the,
building, yeah.
big,
Yeah.
beautiful building in a slum.
In a slum.
Absolute slum.
Same exact dynamics.
That's I was drawing the comparison.
And then you go back to Al-Amoudi. What did he do? He was the head of the chaplaincy program for the prisons. And you go
that's
back
right.
to that.
This is an important point.
Now, this is
Abdul Rahman Al-Amoudi, who we've used that name. And look, we understand, folks. We're the professionals. These names never confuse us, right? Abdul, Shmalu, Baldu, Badu. It confuses our intelligence agencies when their names are moved around and letters are moved around, and they do that on purpose.
Farouk.
Yeah, and the various spellings. But Abdul
Rahman
Al-Amoudi. Abdul Rahman Al-Amoudi, he was a confidant to President Bush. He was selected by Bush to be an advisor, as Mark is saying, to develop a chaplain program for the federal prisons in the United States for Muslims, and also to develop the chaplaincy program for the Army, Muslim imams on the Army side. Now, he builds a mosque. So this is just amazing. The conversion rate of black people in prison to Islam is guess what number? Guess what number? Out of 100 black people in prison, guess how many convert to Islam?
30.
None of them vote.
None of them vote. Guess how many?
30%.
No, not that high. 20%. 20% of blacks are converting to Islam in prison, and it's usually the Nation of Islam, which is an offshoot of this Sunni Islam. Then they move into Sunni Islam. But Al-Amoudi started that program, and he started a mosque in the middle of the black section of Boston. What the heck is going on? And he's an Egyptian. He's not black. I think he's an Egyptian. Let's check to see what Al-Amoudi is. Where is he from? While you're checking that, let's continue with the program here.
Violently to the arrests of Islamic extremists? Just 2 months after delivering this sermon, Imam Farouk met with Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick at an Islamic Center event. The governor appeared with Farouk in the Muslim American Society
That's the
leadership,
governor.
despite warnings about the organization's history of Islamic extremism and anti-Semitism. The purpose of Patrick's visit to the Islamic Center was described by the MAS as the governor's recognition of our presence, our pain, and our power. At the event, MAS leaders repeatedly claimed that the Boston Muslim community is a victimized and besieged minority. In what appeared to be a request for concessions, they asked the governor to commit to a list of 7 actions aimed at providing privileged treatment and accommodation for Muslims in public and private workplaces, schools, and financial institutions. Most egregiously, the MAS demanded that law enforcement agencies in the state be given cultural sensitivity training. Imam Farouk himself handed out a check for $50,000 to staffers from Attorney General Martha Coakley's office for the training program. Will people like Farouk be training our Massachusetts State Police? Astoundingly, and without much deliberation, the governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts agreed to these radical demands and accepted the money.
Unbelievable.
And
Governor
that's
Patrick
why you have
recognized
bombings in
our
Boston.
concerns.
All right, freeze it
Stop
right there.
embracing radicals.
Oh, wait, let it go on. Let it finish.
back the money and reach out to truly moderate Muslims.
I think we're to the end of this. How much time is
Don't
left?
About
let
20
political
seconds.
correctness compromise our security.
Excellent video by Charles Jacobs and Ilya, Americans for Peace and Tolerance. I mean, it just nails it. We got about 2 minutes left. What do you guys, what's your takeaway for our audience? Under our theme, put our banner back up, our theme, It's Islam Stupid. We have ISNA, the overarching organization coordinating all the Muslim Brotherhood entities. We have CARE, the shock troop, bogus front PR group. And then we got crazy jihadi ladies who are simply following Islam. What are your takeaway for you guys? What do you see?
Well, very simply is that, we tried to tell you about it 4 years ago. We tried to tell you about it 2 years ago. We said something bad is going to happen in Boston soon. We didn't know soon was either it's 6 weeks or 2 years, but we knew something bad was going to happen in the Boston area. It just, you go from zero to jihad in less than 3 years after the building of a mosque. Come on, give me a break. I mean, wake up, people. It's Islam, stupid. Wake up.
Yeah, that's for sure. Let's see, Damon.
Well, I would like to go instead of the little Jew. What I have learned, what I have learned is that unfortunately...
Why do you have to call people names like that?
Because I do not like them.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. What I have learned is that the media, led by you and people like you, but now even the mainstream media is starting to recognize the threat that Islam poses. We are not very happy as a community. We are not happy with the genie coming out of the bottle, so to speak, and would much prefer for someone to just put a cork on it, and let's not talk about this big hairy gorilla in the room, because it is making us very uncomfortable.
Put the big hairy gorilla in the room here.
Yeah, there's the big hairy gorilla right there. Going after me. Oh, that is scary looking. Oh my God, look at that. Oh.
That is frightening.
Give me jihadis any day than a Markhadi. A Markhadi. All right. Well, I think those are excellent points in that it isn't hard. We're not geniuses, folks. We're not magical. We're not psychics. We're simply people that don't allow our emotional desires to get in the way of our intellectual analyses. As much as anyone out there would like to see things differently, would love to see Islam being a religion of peace, like the PR people have said, it isn't a religion of peace. It's a religion of conquest, of supremacy. And tomorrow, in our fourth segment of It's Islam Stupid, we're going to dig in more deeply and show you why Boston has a serious problem.
And we have a good screenshot of it.
Like you can, oh yeah, that's pretty cool too. That is, yeah, we can, that's what we should have. All right, got to go right now. Tom Trento signing off for everybody. 5